Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I have a cute little quick card I made to celebrate the birth of a brand new baby girl. My best friend's daughter had a baby 2 days ago, so excited that she's here and so excited to send this card to her. So I wanted to try out the hinge stamping using my Stamparatus, so I used it on this card to create these repeating straight images on this card. So to make this card really simply, we've got some Whisper White cardstock, some Daffodil Delight cardstock, and a piece of a scrap out of your scrap box of some Returning Coastal Cabana cardstock. And you can see these cute little stitchings on here, and they come from the stitched labels framelits dies that are coming out in the new annual catalog. So many fun dies in here that you can put around sentiments and give some texture to your cards with some of the stitching. So that is going to be a favorite of mine, I know. So we're going to get started using this stamp set. It's called Better Together. It's in our annual catalog, and it's also carrying together over into the new catalog. This is a great stamp set to have on hand because it carries you through all the occasions from sympathy to Christmas to baby to wedding to birthday to a note card. So we're going to be using the congratulations on your new arrival and the cute little safety pin that's in this stamp set. Now I did choose this sentiment because it is perfect for hinge stamping, because on hinge stamping you have about an inch and a quarter to work with that does a perfect stepping down as you move the plate from one hinge down and stamp and another hinge down. So I did play around with that. So always save those botched up pieces of paper you have, because you can use it for scratch to decide how many images you can fit on a sheet of paper. So what I did is I was using one of the plates of my Stamparatus, and I put the sentiment, congratulations on your arrival, and I found through trial and error that I could use a 3 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch and have the sentiment, the safety pin the whole way down, and have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. So that worked after a little trial and error. So you'll notice here on the Stamparatus, I had put my silicone craft mat down here. Whenever you're stamping with a photopolymer, you're going to put in this black foam here, that pad. But with the red rubber, you don't need anything. But I like to just stick this in here just as an added security that I know for sure I have a shim in there. And sometimes I've actually stamped these red rubber with the foam in there, and it stamps wonderfully. So I put this little silicone mat in it. It assures me that I've got a shim that's going to work well when I'm using a red rubber, especially into the corners because there's a hinge there. So what I did is I put my 3 1/4 by 5 1/2, and remember on my website, CindyLeeBDesigns.com, I always have the measurements for the cards that I'm doing on the video. In the post, you'll have the measurements, the colors, the materials, embellishments, anything I used on that card, so don't worry about writing them down. So what I did is I put the congratulations on, and then I played around with it to know that it was straight and that I could step it down. So I used a brand new color, the Granny Apple Green that's coming out. This is the new stamp case, and you're going to have a tendency to want to push the lid because we're so used to doing that. It's like a reflex for us, but it actually just opens on a hinge just like that, and then you slide it over, and then we're just going to ink up with Granny Apple Green, and then we're just going to take it and close it over. Little pressure there, and we've got our Granny Apple Green congratulations. Then we're going to make sure our stamp's cleaned off, and we're going to go with the next color. And the next color I chose to go with was Melon Mambo. So this is a great color scheme because boy or girl, it works. So then I use the Melon Mambo, and then I step it down one step on the hinge, and then I close the Melon Mambo down, and I've got a perfectly straight sentiment, and then I'm going to hinge it down one more, make sure that I clean off that stamp, and this time I'm going to use one of my favorite returning colors, the Coastal Cabana. So excited that I still have a large stock of that. So there we go, and we're using the Coastal Cabana. We're already stepped down. We're going to stamp the congratulations. Oh, it looks like up right here. But I already have one made, but I did make a little boo-boo here. I probably had a little bit. You'll notice sometimes when you open these up, they might have a little of the plastic, and I think there was a little piece of that there. Okay, but we're not going to worry about this. This is our demonstration. So the next one we're going to do is Daffodil Delight. Daffodil Delight. And so I'm inking up. After I cleaned off the stamp, I'm going to hinge it, and I'm going to stamp the next step down. There we go. And there isn't any there, so it must have just been on my Coastal Cabana there. So now I'm going to move my magnet up a little bit so that it isn't impeding the stamp closing in the Stamparatus. Remember to be careful with these magnets. They're very strong, like a neodymium magnet. By the nature of magnets, if they get too close, they can go together. They can crack into many little pieces. You can get them stuck in your fingers and get a little blood blister. So just be really careful with them. It's just the magnet's fault. It's not the tool's fault. It's the magnet's fault. So just be really careful with that. So we're going to hinge this down to do the last color. And the last color is a gorgeous, as my friend Janet's granddaughter would say, gorgeous grape. So gorgeous grape is a beautiful, beautiful purple. A nice, fun, bright, but like dark purple, just the perfect purple. So we're going to get that congratulations down. Now we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps perfectly straight of our sentiment. Now what I wanted to do is put the safety pin in here. So what I did is I took this image here, this red rubber stamp, and I put that there. And the first time I did this, I just tested it to see if it's in the right place, that it had enough space around and it looked pleasing to the eye. Then I knew it was fine to do. So what we're going to do is take and put our plate back in there, and then we're just going to repeat our colors. So we're going to start out with the Granny Apple Green, and we're going to close. Then we're going to hinge down one. We're going to clean off that safety pin, and then we're going to go to the Melon Mambo. You know, I see a little bit, I got a little sloppy there. Get that edge. Okay, but I want to make sure that I got the whole safety pin. Okay, so then we are going to go down with the Melon Mambo safety pin. Done. We're going to take another step down. We're going to make sure we clean these off. On red rubber, sometimes it's hard to see if your ink is been cleaned off. So what we're going to do is use our Coastal Cabana, ink up that safety pin, and we're in the right place. Stamp. There we go. Come back, clean that safety pin off. And we are going to step down another, and we're going to get our Daffodil Delight ink pad, and we're going to ink up the Daffodil Delight. And, oh, we were already stepped down. Okay, there we go. And we'll put the yellow. And then we are going to clean that little bugger off. And we're going to go to the Gorgeous Grape. Highland Heather is the new lighter purple in the subtles. And then we just step down one more step, and we're finishing our last step with the hinge. And now we've got a perfectly placed, clean off that stamp. We've got a perfectly placed sentiment and a cute little image to go with it, and we can make many, 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 many cards. Now, I do need to have a stockpile of baby cards. There's a lot of people ready to have babies, so I'm going to make a lot. So I'm not going to take my stamps off because I've got them perfectly placed. I can hurry up and go through and make 10 of these. But I did on the inside of this card just added a little safety pin here. So what I did is I just took my plate, which is really nice with the Stamparatus tool. You can remove this. Like other tools that are on the market, these aren't removable, and it's really nice to be able to remove this. And all I did was ink up in the Coastal Cabana with the ink pad, and then I just used my acrylic. I just used the acrylic plate that's on here just like it was a big acrylic block, and I got and stamped that. And then I didn't have to remove these two stamps here because I'm going to make some more copies of this. So that is a really fun thing to do with your Stamparatus hinge stamping. I can see that is going to be something really useful here. So what I did here is, like I said, you have I used the stitched labels framelits here, and if you have any little holes that don't come out, you can just take your paper piercer and pop them out. It's really cute because these little stitchings have holes there. And so what I did is I just put some adhesive on here, and this was 3 1/4 by 5 1/2, and this was just a scrap that I had in my Coastal Cabana drawer, and I just adhered it here, and then I put some adhesive on the back of it, and I rolled some of the silver and white baker's twine around it, and then tied a double bow with the baker's twine, and all the measurements for the card will be on my website, cindyleebdesigns.com. I ended up with this panel, and then I just adhered it to my Portrait Daffodil Delight cardstock card base, and this was just a 11 by 4 1/4 that I scored at 5 1/2, and that made me the portrait that opened from the bottom. And then I just adhered this panel to the front of the card and added on a few little of these rhinestones because they accent so pretty with this silver. I am so happy that this silver twine is carrying over into the new catalog, because just that little bit of silver in there with the white pairs up beautifully with our rhinestones. And in the new catalog, if you've been getting it, I had a little emergency call the other day from my friend Marie, who said the pearls and rhinestones are gone, but they're not pictured in the catalog, but they're underneath the red rhinestones and the other pearls. So just take a look there. They are there. They're just not photographed there, okay? So we're still going to be always having those rhinestones and pearls and the dimensionals. So that's a real quick card you can make using your Stamparatus and that hinge stamping technique, hinge technique. Some people were calling it a step technique, but it's a really neat way of doing it, because if I would have used my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig, which I'm a big fan of, I've always loved my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig, but I don't believe I still would have got everything as lined up perfectly as I did with my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig. And this is a cute card. I'm so happy with it. I was just really happy to use that technique. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at cindyleeb@gmail.com. You can always call or text me at 724-323-2296. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.